I'm giving this Florida 90 a bit of a looking over before it goes. And I didn't realise at the time there's no rubber on the airframe ball joint. Now somebody's been in at this before, because that's not a factory split pin through there. So I can't get the nut off because, well, I can, but for some strange reason I can't get my socket in, look. And I haven't got a 30mm spanner yet. I'm going to have to go out and buy one, but I want to get this off tonight. So what I do is, I've dropped the exhaust off here. Instead of struggling on with those great big bolts, or struggling on, where are they now? These two nuts here, they'll never come out. This car's pretty rustic from Florida, but I just undo the 3 bolts off there, and even if they snap, it's no big deal. It's only bolts, you get plenty of bolts, you know. There we go. Yeah, that thing there. And then once it's on the floor or on the bench, I can cut through the bolt, and over there I have a pre-made airframe, new bolts, new bushes, everything to go on. All I need is the brackets. I wish I had some brackets, but I ain't got none. So what I intend to do to get this nut off, there we go, I'm going to drill it off. I've already run a pilot hole through here, and that makes it really easy, because then you should be able to get a chisel in and split it off. So I'm going to continue and drill this, and then put the camera on the stand, and hopefully we can see if we can get this nut off. It's not only tightened up, but it's rusted up. What fun. Now I don't know how we're going to split it off, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. You see, we can't really hit it all that much with a hammer, because we can't get a good swing at it. I don't know. We'll think of something. This is just a little insert, because I don't think you could see clearly what I was trying to do to get this castellated nut off the fulcrum joint on this airframe. What I did was I got a 3/16 drill, or whatever it is in metric, I don't know. And the head of the split pin was through the castellation. So what I did was I drilled through it, and then I continued to drill all the way through the nut, because I wanted to weaken it. And then I followed through with a bigger drill through that pilot hole and completely cut through the wall of the nut. That's easy. Then, using a chisel, which you couldn't probably see, because I used an air chisel because I didn't have access, hit the nut this way, and then this way, and then it broke here. They always do. They always break. Because the nut's under tension, a lot of tension, and they act like a sort of a spring, and they momentarily break loose, and they break here. Now I used an air chisel and a drill to break this, because I just didn't have access. I didn't have access, and of course I didn't have a spanner at the time. But that's the way you can get nuts off. Now if you've got a nice sharp chisel and give them a good sharp clout here, you don't need to drill them, but because access was limited, that's why I did it. So stick around and you'll see some action. Right, can you see that? Let's have a go, see if we can get it off. What a pain in the ass place to get to. You know, like I say, with the bracket here. I don't know, it might pop off. No, you can look. We'll see. Get the nut off first. Moving. You see, the problem is that the tail end of the split pin's still in there. Yes! Everything succumbs to my chisel. Look at that. See? Cut off the nut. Now, all we've got to do is get that out of there. Pass it with. Hey! Look at that! Me lads. Look at that. Friday afternoon, 20 to 5. Bingo. That's off. Axle moved a bit, but that's the least of my worries. Hey, that's alright, isn't it? Let's see if I can lift it out. I'll probably drop it on myself. There's one bolt still left up there. Oh, that's a bugger, bloody bolt stuck in the hole. This is rusty. See if I can back it out. Oh, it's sort of halfway in and halfway out. Oh, I see, the bloody chisel, the nut's still on there. The split pin, I mean. Yeah, let's put that out. Now let's see if I can get it off this bolt at the back. I'm going to have to think of something. The bolt on one of the A-frame, on the mounts here at the back is still in the hole, and I need to get that out. And it's rusted in. I think I'll have to change the bit on my air chisel. Change to a point on the air chisel and it'll pop out. Didn't quite expect it to pop out quite like that, but it's out. I don't know how I'm going to get it back in here. That's the only way to get them out, you know, practically. A lot of people struggle on trying to get the bolts out. They very rarely come out, the half-inch bolts that go through here. Very rarely come out. So I've already got some A-frames all built up, and they've got, is it Delphi joints on, but I didn't realise there wasn't a rubber on it. I don't know, I'm sure there was one on before. Anyway, doesn't matter. So what we do, we get the saw, the reciprocating saw, electric, we're not going to do it by hand, cut through here, not even going to bother taking the bolts out, because you can see they'll be rusted solid in the bush. It's a waste of time. Just press the bush out complete with a bolt. These here, we'll see about them. Again, we'll knock off the nuts and we'll try and wedge them off. Oh man, these cars are rusty. Rusty, you thought they were bad in Europe. But there again, you see, if I've got one already done, it really speeds the job on. You know, it speeds the job up a bit. Saturday morning, another quick job. Last night, I got the A-frame off, which fell on me, so I was a bit pissed off with that. But never mind, it's heavy, but there's no other way of getting it off. You really could do with an extra pair of hands, but sometimes you can't in this job. Anyway, I got the new one on by doing it in 3 pieces. I did the ball joint and then the 2 arms individually and bolted it to the frame, and it was so much easier than sort of lifting it up and trying to put the bolts in. But as you can recall, if I can got it down here, haven't I got it down here? No, no, it's here, look. This is my socket for doing Defender ball joints, and then I put a flexible drive in here and I can get the nut off. As you saw, I had to drill it off. I couldn't get it off. So I went downtown this morning to China Tyre, or Canadian Tyre as we should call it, and I bought myself a nice 30mm spanner. Thank you to Patreons for that. I was going to get one from Prince's Auto, which was a lot cheaper, but I needed one while this car was on the lift, because as you can see here where the joint is, instead of being on a bolt on top like the Defenders have, they've got 4 bolts in the top. This one's just a steel pressing welded to the top of the axle. Now again, let's go back to this. So what the hell have I done with it? put it down some. Do you know something? I'd lose everything if it wasn't connected. What the hell? Wait a minute, hold on. Just put it down. Look, you see, you can't get the socket in. You can't get the socket in, so it forced me to buy a spanner. Now, remember, this is on a 2-post lift, and the axles drop down. But you still can't get into it, even with this, because the crank of the spanner won't go in. Now, it might do with a regular 90, for example, or a disco with a different tank, but this is a NAS spec, like a TD5 type system, and it's got a big shield on here and roll bars and God knows whatever else, and I'm certainly not taking all that lot out just to do one nut. So what I'm going to do with this spanner, I'm going to warm it up. I know it's a shame, isn't it, but I'm going to warm it up and bend it, because this is the only time I'll ever use this. And I'm going to try and put a crank in it, because this is set at an angle a little bit, if you see what I mean. It's set at an angle like this. So I want that spanner bringing down, if you see what I mean. So this is going to be flat. So I'm going to first warm it up around about here and try it, because I might be able to get away with one crank, if you see what I mean. If not, I'll do a double crank so I can get this parallel, like do a dog leg in it. It might work. Well, it should do, because I've warmed every other bloody spanner up I've got. But I can't see any other way you can get that tight. Because even if I cut down the socket, I'm not going to look for that again. Even if I've pretty rolled off somewhere now. Even if I cut down the socket, it's not a guarantee it's going to fit. I don't know how you're supposed to do it. Oh, one thing I wanted to point out about this ball joint in particular. It's got 2 holes in to put the split pin in, so you can get good access to put the split pin in. Now, some other ones I've done before only had 1 hole. So, you know, I can see it only wants to go around about 1/8 of a turn, because like I can't even get that spanner in on an open-ended, because it's hitting the side of the casing. This bit hits the side, and I don't want to grind this down because it'll make it too thin. Anyway, let's ramble. Let's get on with it. So, back again. What did the tool look like? Oh, look at that. And all nice and shiny too. I just give it a quick buff up on the like felt buffer, and it came out alright. A few little marks in it, but look, it's a spanner. You know, you're not going to put it on your mantelpiece or out like that, are you? Does it work? Well, let's have a look. Yes, the angle is perfect. You can now really get into that and reef that nut up, whereas you couldn't before. And that is going to be brilliant. And if you want to put a top wrench on it, well, you're kind of stuck, aren't you? But I think that now it's going to be great. Just a tiny bit more. There. That'll do. It's nice and tight now. I can get a pin through there. And that's that. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of bending spanners. One of these days, I'll let you have a look in my drawers of special tools that I've made and JP's knocked up for me, all to help you make your Land Rovers that bit better, because that's the whole idea of this channel. Talking of tools, I want to show you another one of my tools I got this week, and again, thanks to Patreons, because we wouldn't be able to mess about like this, because I try these things before I'd say, yeah, no, this is going to be working, because a lot of the stuff I get is bloody crap. Right, one job I've got to do on this 90, because it's got a 300 TDI in it, is to replace the clutch hose. No big deal, kind of easy. On this end, it's a long end, and it's got a tube nut and a 1/4 inch diameter pipe. But sometimes they are a bit tricky to get off, because you've got to hold the nut here, the hex head here, and spin it off at the same time. Not too bad, not too bad. The other end goes directly into the cylinder, so you don't have to worry about that too much. But the problem is, And on these things here, I had to replace the steering box on this because if you can remember when I was doing the drop arm in the previous video, that I was just going to replace the gator on the drop arm, you know, the little rubber cover. And then when I was playing around with the steering and there was no engine running, it was pouring out. The steering box was absolutely bellowing fluid out, but only in one position. So I couldn't work that one out. So I put another steering box on. But to make life a little bit easier, this is what I'm rambling on about. I bought myself, thanks to Patreons and subscribers, a set of these. I've never had any before because I've never really had a need. But it's one of those things that I wish I had because it made life so much easier. Now I did do a video on it, but I sort of scrubbed it. I've got a lot of problems with camera batteries. They're dying all the time, so I've got to buy a new set of batteries. But the only spanners that we actually need on the pipes are 9/16 and 5/8. I bought a whole set. I tried to get them off, they're tight on there. These are made by Crescent. I got these off Amazon. They were $80, I think. They're about, I don't know, 35 quid or something like that. But they are very good quality. Why I like these? Well, let me go back and show you the tools I used to use. I used to use these pipe spanners. And you see the cutout there for the size of the pipe. I think the flare nut spanners or something like that, I don't know. This is 5/8 and this is 9/16. Great, so what's wrong? Well, because of the length of the key, when you crack your pipe off, you invariably hit either another pipe or the inner wing, depending on which way you're going to do and turn it off. It's the same with this one. The problem, like I say, the spanner fits, but you've got no movement. Whereas, if you've got something like this attached to a 3/8 extension bar, you're now coming from the top and you can get right the way around. Now I managed to salvage a little scene out of this video, taking the pipes off and seeing if it would work. You see what happened. So there's those crowfoot spanners at work. Let's see if I can get it off with one hand. Oh, look at that. So I can get it loose and just keep turning that like that, look. And that's going to make life a joy. Because sometimes they are a bit difficult to get a spanner in. Excellent. Let's see if we can get the other. We'll get this one off and out the way and see what we can do. That one's 5/8. So there you go. Why do I like these instead of cheaper ones? Actually, they're called crowfoot spanners. I should tell you that they're called crowfoot spanners. It's not for taking feet off crows. Well, I suppose you could do. They're thick. They're thick here. Now, the ones I've seen before, which are cheaper, are very thin. So, what's the big deal? The nut's thin, Mike. The thicker they are, the less liability they have of splaying open. You know, like this bit is splaying open and then they're bloody useless. Whereas these have got some thickness to them to be more resistant when you're turning up a tight nut. Now you can use them for all sorts of stuff. You don't necessarily have to use them for tube nuts or anything like that. You could use them for just about anything. But they're one of those things that I thought, well, why didn't I buy those before? Now I've got a set, I'm all made. So I hope you like that. That was just a little sort of recap on daft bits of tools. I think, like I say, when it's winter time, when things are a bit calmer, I'll go through my toolbox over here. I was looking for it. I've moved things around. I don't know where things are now. And we'll have a look at some of the bits and pieces that I've made, and like I say, JP's made for me, and things I've adapted, especially for defenders. Because if you're going to work on these all the time, there's little ideas of tools that might just be handy for you that you can make yourself. After all, where's my spanner gone? I've lost the bloody thing now, I've left it over there. But the spanner was only just warmed up in a torch and just bent. That's all it needed. You don't need to buy super special tools. That spanner was, retail price was $38. I could have got one from Amazon, a lot cheaper, but it was going to be like 5 days before it got here. Things are getting slow now. So anyway, don't be afraid of knacking tools up, but if you want to knack a spanner up and bend it, do it with a cheap one first and see if it works. See you later.